Hari Om. Hari Om. Hari Om. Hello, my friends. It's so peaceful here on this roof right now. It's all pure light. You are all pure light. Everything is pure light. Shall we talk about something? Is there anybody who would like to come in straight away? When I say everything is pure light, then it's just a word for something that cannot be really described. There is light, the opposite of darkness, and there's prior to that what they call now pure light. It doesn't have an opposite. It's prior to the opposites. It's the first expression of that mystery of existence. The first expression with its three aspects: pure consciousness, pure love, and pure energy. And I like to call that pure light. Pure light without darkness. Pure light that is not the opposite of darkness. That just is. We can come back to that and be at ease, at peace, no matter what. It's always there. It's never absent. It's not that we have to make a lot of effort to somehow attain that. Even if we are not aware, that essence, that base is there all the time. Without that, nothing is. Without that, there is no experience. There's no thinking, there is no feeling. So it doesn't need an effort to come to pure light. We just have to make an effort to see how much effort we are making all the time in order to cover it up, and then learn not to do that anymore. That's the job. That's a job everyone has to do for themselves. We can get guidance, we can get a lot of energetic support. But this is the game of this world where we came from. Somehow we get caught up in the whole delusion of being separate, of being totally alienated of that essence. And then we have again the job to undo that hypnosis, to undo all those delusions that we have created, that were pushed on us while growing up, and then we have taken them in and made it into a reality of experience, completely forgetting our pure divine nature. Nevertheless, it's never absent. It's always there. Without that, no experience would be there. You couldn't wriggle a finger without that. You couldn't take a breath. You couldn't see, hear, smell, taste, or think, or feel. It's there first, prior to everything. For me, it has always been a very inspiring way of naming that pure light. The pure light without the opposite, light without darkness. Unblemished, no matter what is happening in manifestation. It's not that some of us are pure and others are impure. Mentally, we can create all kinds of troubles, but essentially there is only that purity. Okay. Is there anybody who would like to come in? Please come.
Hari Om, Werner.
Hello, Maria.
Hello. Yeah, you mentioned the word mystery, which is very connected to what something I have experienced recently, intensely. And I'd love for you to, more than a question, is more hearing you talking about it, is technique. I noticed that during my meditation, I practice shaking bioenergy meditation. And one of the ways in which I feel I experience difficulty is that my mind keeps creating expectations of what should happen when I am doing the shaking. And it's, in a way, it's quite hilarious because I haven't got a clue what should happen, you know. No idea. But yet, somehow, the mind seems to build a story about it. It's now, I mean, this should be happening. You should be moving this way, the other way, but why are you moving this way? So there is a whole chattering around that, I've experienced intensely that I can't find cause and effect when I am meditating. For example, if I'm chanting, I chant a mantra, I can't feel the connection between my chanting and what is happening in the body. So it's not that if I chant more intensely, I feel more heat or there is more movement. There is no connection whatsoever. So then I'm left in that space where, so what am I supposed to do? I don't know. So, and then there is this mystery of, I don't know. So it's this thing about the technique, trying to hold that technique, which that's going on one level. And the other level, whatever is happening doesn't seem to have any correspondence to anything I expect or that I am aiming for. And then is this big mystery. And the other thing I experienced very clearly yesterday, which was very beautiful, I love creating altars, arranging the statues and flowers. And yesterday I had a difficult situation I had to solve in a conversation online. And I had the feeling that it was good to create an altar around the screen before having this meeting. And I haven't got a clue of what happened, but I tell you, the energy was so beautiful during that conversation. And I felt that creating that altar around somehow helped me. So again, very mysterious because how that happens, no idea. So I love you to talk about whatever resonates for you with what I'm saying about technique and mystery, and yeah.
Mm.
Thanks.
Anyhow, you started out with you become aware that you always have expectations, ideas, what should happen. And I can very good relate to that. I had all the time ideas, what should happen. Over the years of my practice, the ideas kept on changing a bit, but still there was always these ideas that had been put in my mind by my own thinking, by what I have read, by what I have heard. Later I became aware they were not useless, they were in that sense useful, that they were inspiring me to continue. But of course at the same time it's also somehow handicapping, because then we set the mind somehow on what should happen. Finally, when things started to happen, nothing of all the things that I was expecting happened. And it's good if we can loosen up these expectations, that we don't have clear images. There are these kind of spiritual schools, they have an exact blueprint how this should happen, the whole development, that the first you get that much, and then you experience this, and then you get there, and then you experience that. And if you really believe that and are fully in that, then it has to happen like this. But that means in a way that you are being molded in a form that is not necessarily coming naturally out of yourself. And if some people go on those schools and they think it has to be like this, okay, so be it, then it has to be like this. But we can also let all that go and just take all the stories, what you read, what you hear, of all the great spiritual enlightenments, of all the great spiritual experiences. You can take them as inspirations, and at the same time just become totally simple. And okay, I'm here, and then be at ease, be at peace, be open, and wait and see what happens. Now you can practice your techniques. This is fine. This is a help. It's not that the technique is going to achieve something. It's not that the technique is finally bringing about what you are looking for. The technique is just a help to make it easier to connect. Because it's not so easy to abstractly simply connect when the mind is busy going here and going there, to just let all that go. It's much easier to have something to hold on to redirect the attention. Sometimes some practices, like part of your practice is very, very active. Other practices are not active at all, but still it's something you can hold on to as a crutch for the mind, in order to let go of all our attachments and obsessions that we are busy with. And then the best thing is not to nourish expectations. The mind will pop up with expectations and think, this should happen, that should happen. But when you see it, don't take them serious. Better to let them go and to just be open, innocent, like a child. Just ready for adventure.
Yeah, the innocence is what comes up lately as well. It's like the feeling of the desire to go back to innocence, to just be good. Be good. Mm.
You are that innocence. You are that purity. It's all our mental calculations that we gotten used to, they cover up that innocence. The more we are always busy calculating, the stronger we are contracting consciousness in that little bubble, me, and calculating for my personal benefit, the more this innocence is buried, but it's still there. And so it's not that we have to develop that innocence, it's more that we have to stop covering up all the time with personal me self-interests. Innocence, pure light, pure existence, these are all words that point at that we cannot completely understand. We can still somehow accept it as a concept and put the attention in that direction. That's as far as possibly the understanding the intellect can help. And then prior to that, there is something I said, the mystery. There is just absolutely nothing that can ever be said about what is prior to that. But we can come back, we can direct the attention to that first primordial expression, be it through pure consciousness or through love or through energy or a combination of them. And then you said, okay, when you do this kind of ceremonies like preparing the place, then suddenly somehow it's different. Of course, it's not necessarily because of the flowers and what you are doing, but while putting the flowers, you are putting yourself in a frame of mind that is opening up to that mystery that is prior to the mind. So these external ceremonies, they can be very helpful if you resonate with them. People who have not that resonance, then ceremonies and rituals, they are meaningless. But if it helps you to open your heart, perfectly fine.
Yeah. I find the beauty, I connect with some form of beauty.
Yes.
Which is, yes, is love. Yeah.
Mm.
Thank you so much, Werner. Also, thank you for last week. You helped me a lot to reframe. I think the word that comes up for me is reframe that feeling of emptiness as peace. And I had a very different experience last week because I realized when you were helping me to reframe it, because in the past, I think it's partly because I come from a Latino culture where there is a lot of Rajasic energy associated with happiness,
Yeah,
you
yeah.
have to be bouncing,
Right.
kind of to be happy. So to be quiet in silence is not something that I have been really brought up with. And when you were mentioning the peace, somehow there was a reframing, and this week has been really good with that. So very, very grateful.
Great, wonderful, great. You know, also people, when they open up to Eastern traditions, they come often across the concept that you can attain eternal bliss. And then often people, they imagine that eventually you are in a perpetual ecstasy, bouncing all the time. And it's not working like that. It's not that you are in a jumping, screaming ecstasy all the time. Ecstasy is fine. It's an experience. It comes, it has a peak, it goes. But there is something else that doesn't come and go. That's an aspect of existence. And I would call it a peaceful joyousness, which is simply there. If we let it happen, if we don't cover it up, it's simply there. And that is the eternal bliss they are talking about. It's not that those peak experiences, they come, they go, but it's that joyousness of simply existing. We can become aware of that. And once we stop disturbing it, then gradually, as the time is passing, the intensity of that experience is simply unfolding. then after some time you may be in a state of joyousness, but totally at peace, because you can deal with it. If a few years earlier you would have experienced that same intensity, it would have driven you in a screaming, jumping ecstasy. But it's good to connect it with peace, because peace is the base. Joy is the base, but not the bouncing joy, but the peaceful joyousness. Very good.
Thank you.
Continue like this.
Thank you so much, Werner. Thank you to you and to all. Thank you.
Hari Om.
Hari Om.
Hari Om. Okay. Is there anybody else who would like to come in? Please come. It's also a concept I had to let go. Just as I said before to Maria, I had all kinds of imaginations all the time during my struggling sadhana time. From what I have read, from what I thought about, from just what I somehow created in my mind as expectation, as imagination. Always thought, I have to work, I have to work, I have to work, and then eventually somehow I get the reward for it. Something served on a platter called enlightenment, and that makes boom, and then that's the end. It's perfect, it's absolute, it's and all those ideas simply had to go, because nothing made sense anymore. Every journey is unique and different, but it's possible on your journey that you suddenly rotate into a totally new perspective, that you leave behind all the struggle, all the painful contradictions of the mind that makes us suffer. And yet, it's not the end of the story, it's a new beginning. But once you consciously connect with that peaceful joyousness, you become aware that it's there all the time. Then you stop suffering. Then superficially, sometimes it may be agitated, sometimes you may get irritated. But deep down, you are also always aware. It doesn't really matter. There's something in you that is not affected by any of this. This is Leo. Hey, Leo. A peaceful joyousness, untouched, unaffected by anything that is happening. But once that connection is there consciously, then this is not the end of the story. From there, your experience evolves, grows. There is no end to it. You may start to experience new things that you didn't experience before, but you may also not have much of those experiences that people call spiritual experiences, subtle experiences. But it may just be an evolvement of that intensity of being consciously alive here now is increasing all the time, and along with it, the basic peace, the basic joyousness, that there is just a continuous joyousness there. Uncreated by circumstances, unaffected by circumstances. And that keeps intensifying all the time if we stop standing in the way of it. There's no end to it. There's no final. There is infinite. We are creating all these concepts. We have the relative, so we have to have the concept of the absolute, and the absolute is the opposite of the relative. The relative changes all the time and is like this and is like that, and so the absolute must be the opposite of all that. But it's this absolute is not so absolutely absolute. It's relatively absolute. It's an opposite to the relative. But what is simply defying all understanding. What is simply not possible to be captured in a concept, something that we can say, I understood, I got it. You are that. It's that which makes every experience possible. You are that. You have never been apart from it. It's that which makes every thought, every feeling, everything possible. We just have to come home to that. Dive into it, relax into it, get rooted with our attention. That is the job. Okay, there I'm talking again. Is there anyone who would like to come? Please come.
Hi, Werner.
Hello?
Werner?
Ah, hello.
Hello.
Yes.
You see me? It's Maya from Israel.
Maya, right. Hello, Maya. You are Maya, huh? Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I hear you. Right. I try to read your name, but somehow. Oh, hello.
Hi, Werner G.
You are together there.
We are the whole group here.
Oops.
We all want to say hi and much
Hi,
love.
Werner.
Hello, hello.
Everybody's here. Just
Everybody's
to
here.
Connect.
Oh, your sound is coming and going.
You.
All the group from Israel that came last year wanted to say hello.
And much love.
I heard only bits and pieces because your sound is coming and going, but I see all the faces. But now you are a bit too high up with the camera. I'm seeing the roof only.
Ariam.
Oh, hello. So,
Hi, Werner.
hello.
Hi.
Hello. The whole group. Lila, are you having a retreat with your group?
No, we just came after 1 year again together just to connect and to see what went on this year for each and every one of us. So we are out in nature in my place.
Yeah,
And
nice.
it's just, and this is so everybody wanted to connect with you.
You are all welcome.
We are coming.
Right,
Okay.
you are here right now.
Exactly. Ariom.
Maya, did you want to say something? Or you just were the first to say hello?
Thank you very much for everything.
You're all welcome. Lila, your alone retreat was good?
And every satsang, every Saturday.
Yes, it was superb. And I went with your sentence, divine beauty.
Very
It was
good.
great.
Great. Wonderful.
Thank you for that.
Bye. Thank you.
Much love.
Hari Om, Hari Om. Wish you all well.
Hari Om. Same. Wish you all well.
Okay. Is there anybody else who wants to come in? Who wants to say something? Please come. How many are there? Let me see. 32 people. Nobody wants to talk? It's nice just to be here, to feel connected. It's nourishing, being aware of that connection. Anyhow, that connection is always there, but if we come together like this, then we do create a subtle space, obviously. And that sense of connection is intensified. That in itself is satsang, that in itself is basically enough. At the same time, if there are doubts in the mind, it's good to talk about them. Sometimes they disappear when we talk about. So I ask again, is there anybody who would like to come in?
Hi, Werner. It's Lorna.
Hello, Lorna. Yes, I
Hello.
see you and hear you.
Hari Om, Hari Om.
Hari Om.
So, Werner, I hope I can pull this together, what I want to express to you. So as you know, I've spent a lot of time in India in the past, and I've had some very potent experiences, especially whilst I've been in India, that I would say they've stayed with me somewhat.
Yeah.
I'm very attached to being in India, also because of this.
Yeah.
And there have been times where I felt, this is it, there's no going back. I'm really onto something now. And then I come back here, family, work responsibilities, go back into dense old stuff again. So on one level, I have a sense of, but perhaps I just don't fully believe that it's always with me here right now, no matter what the conditions are.
Yeah.
So I, as well as trying to work through the density that's there, I also give it more weight by, I think you know what I'm saying, so perhaps Yeah, so I'd like to hear what you have to say about that. Thank you.
Of course, in the mind, we create all that load and then it feels as that connection is not there. But it's something that we are creating, and the attention is there focused on the level of the mind where we are creating that, and then it feels we are again estranged of that. And yet, without that, you couldn't even experience that. Without that essence, you cannot possibly, even for a moment, be separate from that. Without that, there is no experience, neither the experience of happiness nor the experience of heavy load of work and family and everything. We're just looking in the false direction when we are too much distracted by the outside circumstances. And when you were in India, you had less distraction because you didn't have those obligations and you have time for yourself and focus on yourself. And then being back in the Western circumstances, it's not so much because of the Eastern world or the Western world, but there you are again loaded with circumstances that give responsibilities, that catch the attention, and once the attention is caught, then somehow we get, without being aware of it, getting attached to it and hook into it and lose that awareness, there is that other aspect that is completely unaffected by it. Then we feel, we are totally affected in the midst of it. And it's not there. It's a theory that it's there all the time, but it's not a theory, because without that, even that experience would not be there. We somehow just have to find a way that even in circumstances where we have to engage more, mentally, physically, energetically, that we still have that capacity to look in the right direction. What is it that makes the experience possible? Instead of always being busy trying to find solutions for everything, be busy also with that inquiry, what is it that makes the experience possible? For that is that which you had easier access in India, but which is also there wherever you are, whenever you are, wherever you are, whatever is happening, it's always there. It's that which makes the experience possible. And it's peace, and it's joy, and it's beauty. We just cannot perceive it when we are all caught up in that duty mind. I have to do this, I have to do that, and then completely forget that there is something in you that is not affected. So it's good if you have every day some time where you are doing nothing else, but anyhow you are doing that, where you can connect. But then during whatever activity is there, when you are with people, when you have your duties, when you have your work to do, that every now and then you just stop a moment at that and just relax and breathe and come back home to that and become aware. It's still there, even if I'm busy. And then you do whatever you have to do, and once in a while you stop again. Just in between, let go. We are not more efficient doing our duties if we make them like heavy burdens. It just feels like heavy burdens because we think of it and then create a tension, and that tension becomes bigger and becomes bigger. But if in between you make a little break and consciously relax and let go, it's like that heaviness starts to evaporate, and actually it doesn't take anything of your capacity to deal with the situation. In contrary, it's easier to deal with the situations if we don't create that heaviness. So it's not because of the circumstances, it's what we are doing to ourselves, indirectly influenced by the circumstances. But for many people, it has been very, very useful what you have been doing, to come every year sometime to India, to withdraw from the usual busyness of the daily life, and then go back and do that again. It happens to many people who are in India, then somehow the appreciation of what is slowly disappears, and it becomes commonplace. And then even when staying in India, people still start to create all those mental burdens and all that heaviness. And when you go back and have that other situation and you feel it's heavier, then in a way you are much more open to appreciate again when it's not there. Then some people stay here, and then maybe for them it would have been better to in between go back and experience the contrast. So it's often for many it's very useful. I'm sure it has been very good for you to come here and then go back to that job there and then come here again.
Oh, yes, yes, yes. No, I see there is a great balance that's come
Yeah, yeah.
in many ways, but it's just, I think I'm uncovering more and more, well, you use the word doubt there, but I would say sort of lack of trust, or there's a sort of conviction somehow in me that it has to look and be in a certain way.
Yes,
So
yes, yes.
I'm a certain Bhav, you know, that, yeah, just, and I want to be, you know, deeply free of those barriers to becoming more established in a, you know, in my own modest way. Yeah.
Right. So continue with what you're doing. Do your practices for the time you can practice, and then try to keep that attitude as good as you can in all the activities. Make a point to relax. Let go. Detachment, the traditional detachment, they always talk about detachment, detachment, detachment. But actually, it's in a way nothing else but the capacity to relax. When you are in a situation and being attached, then we create a certain tension and a hook, and we keep up that tension and get restless about it, and maybe want to reproduce it. But if we are in a situation and just relax, then the situation is there, the situation goes, and it's gone. And there is nothing sticky there. So remind yourself to relax.
Yes, yes. It's that resistance.
Yes.
So, and it can be hard to detect because it's so automatic.
Right. Out of
yes,
old habit. Out of old habit.
Yes,
there.
yes. Yes.
So,
it shouldn't be like this. It shouldn't be like this. Just very subtle sometimes. Yes.
right. And then when you catch yourself in that stream, then just come back to the now, here now, timeless, and relax. Relax your legs. And then the body relaxes. And then when you physically relax, you relax energetically. And when you physically and energetically relax, you relax emotionally and intellectually. So it's very good just to remember, relax your legs.
Okay. Okay.
People often laugh when I say such things. They think, oh, a funny thing. But actually, it's doing much more than what one would expect. A simple conscious thing like that, contrary to the habitual way of dealing with the situation and reacting, just relax your legs. And then in the wake of the whole rest starts to relax. And if you relax, then that sense of connectedness comes back much more.
Okay.
It's not something that we can establish with force. Somehow, you said that it should be more rooted, more established, that you don't lose it, and it's not by way of effort that you are getting there. It's the effort is just to become aware of how much effort we are making to disturb it unconsciously. and then let that go. So it's more by way of relaxing than by way of effort that you are getting more established in that.
Okay, thank you so much, Werner.
Oh, you're welcome. Hari Om, Hari Om. Is there anybody else who would like to come?
Hello, Werner.
Oh, hello.
Hi.
Hi. Helen.
It carries on really from Lorna's, what Lorna was speaking about. I had a chance to have a 2-week retreat,
Oh,
which was very good. And it coincided with the anniversary of the death of my soulmate. So it was always on the anniversary, I make a vigil because he died suddenly, and there was much grief because we'd been together almost 20 years. So it was like a heart being torn away. But while I was holding this vigil, it came so strong, nothing ever happened.
Yeah.
So strong. And it was like, and I just spent the whole night laughing and laughing, crying, because I was expecting grief. I was expecting to walk through grief, loneliness, and it was nothing. It was like a joy of recognition that nothing ever happened. And I felt more close to him as connectivity, as impersonal love, as whatever you call it, call God or whatever. So I was like that for the rest of the time that I was there, like this peaceful joy, and just really like expanded into nothing ever happened. It was just it was just I can't explain it really. It was just like as though consciousness exploded or something, and I was just here.
Yes.
And I don't know how to, but anyway, so yesterday I came back to my place where to taking care of my mom and taking care of my brother, and for 2 weeks things had been building up of what needs to be done, so I started rushing around, and what I'm actually left with is that there's a sense of it, that nothing ever happened, a sense of beingness, a sense of quiet joy. But what there also is now is like a frenetic energy, and it kind of starts in the root chakra, and if I don't sit and observe, then it becomes like a speediness and a kind of it's more energy. It's not really thought, it's just energy that is somehow can't hold. I don't know, it's it's like energy that is going mad or something inside. Now that I haven't the chance to sit with it and let this energy just in divinity or something, I don't know how to explain. It's how to deal with this energy now. That is I can feel it now. It's manic. It feels kind of manic, although it's not in the mind, it's more in the body. And how to deal with that. I still feel calm, there's a part that's very calm inside, but there's another part that a bit of advice about how to, it feels like some energy wants to explode, how to deal, how to deal with it, really.
Right. After your retreat, somehow it was very strong. Somebody is interfering, please. Oh, Bruno, you should turn your microphone off, please. You're interfering. Can you say something, Helen? Then you come back in the picture. Just say hi.
Yeah, I'm back.
There
But
you are.
I have to say, I also feel, after expressing this, a joyousness in my heart. So, but yes, I do need some guidance. Yeah.
After that intense experience in your retreat, somehow it's like you have opened up a bit more the tap of energy. And now you have to come to terms with it. And it's good if you have time in between to sit, but then when you are working, make use of being aware of the body, no matter what you are doing. You can never have too much energy. We just can have energy that we are not quite capable of balancing out.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
But
yes.
Use the body. Be aware of the body and relax very much. Again, also in this situation, relaxing is supremely important. It's not that you have to somehow with force try to take charge of that energy and do something, but let that energy be there, and then you do anyhow, you do all your physical activities in the situation where you are, but try to remain centered. Come back to your physical center as much as you can, and then help by being aware of the breathing every now and then as much as you can, without making it in a burden that you as a duty, another duty to perform, and relax, 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 relax. Remind yourself to relax. And then that energy that is more than before will very quickly become familiar, and you can happily deal with it, and it's an enrichment of your experience that you are having there.
Yes.
Don't be afraid of it.
Yes, that's it. I while you're talking, I see that I'm trying to put it down in some way, and it needs to balance, just acceptance that it's yeah.
The thing that I have often said already to people, do that: center, breathe, relax. Center, breathe, relax. Come back to your physical center. When you are busy, whenever you remember, center. And breathe consciously and relax. And then energy may sometimes be very strong and a bit like this, and then it calms down again. But if you are not afraid of it, if you just let it happen, then you can just observe what is going on, and at the same time use that energy to perform your duties with your mother, with your brother, with whatever comes up.
So I feel myself calming down right now. I feel yeah, very helpful.
If you come back to the center, then however strong the storm is around, the center is always at peace. And if you are rooted there, then let it storm sometimes, it doesn't matter. Yeah. But it's good, it's something nice to work with, having
Yes.
that energy.
Yes. Yeah, while I'm talking to you, I'm seeing that it's actually, it's not something against me.
No,
sometimes.
it's not something against you. Absolutely not. And it's not something you have to be afraid of.
Yes.
Right. It's just when it's certainly such a thing happens that there is suddenly more energy than usual,
Mm.
then it may take a moment until we are capable of balancing out, of remaining centered, remaining aware of that ground, that is like a rock, unaffected by it. And the more you are rooted in that unmovable, the more that energy can be there and can increase and then can increase, and it's not throwing you out of balance.
Yes.
Yeah. It's not that you have too much energy now and you have to somehow grab it and press it down and get rid of it. No, it would be a shame. You just have to learn to be centered and rooted in that immovable, and then it's an unfoldment of your experience. It's something beautiful.
Yes. Yes. I as we're talking, I can see it's like my mother was always manic depressive.
Yes.
So I was always afraid of mania, you know, and I could see now that I associated this increase of energy with, oh no, I'm becoming like my mum. And I just realized it's God-given, and it's like it's what you're saying, like I feel it in my heart that that has a beauty, and it just needs, I just need to settle with it and
Right.
and enjoy it.
Right. That's it. Great. And don't be afraid of becoming manic depressive.
Yes.
No, you just center here now and relax.
Yes. Yes.
And then
Yes.
that sick state of mind cannot attain you. But of course, being so close to somebody who is in it, then it's very easy when it's a bit stormy to have that fear. I'm getting the same way. But don't be afraid. No. Just connect here now, center, breathe, relax. Nothing bad can happen.
Thank you. Yes. That's exactly what I needed to hear. Thank you so much.
Great. Wonderful.
Yeah.
Hari Om. Hari Om.
Hari Om.
Is there anybody else who would like to come in? Please come. I keep on hammering on that. Oh,
Hari Om.
somebody comes. Yes. Hello.
Hello, Werner. This is
Oh,
Ben.
hello, Ben. Yes.
Hello. I wanted to share, and I talked with someone who wanted to be here with me that had a similar question, and I feel a little bit resistant to ask because somehow I feel that I kind of already know the answer, but I don't want to come to it or accept it. And it has to do with my use of marijuana as a plant that I use. I feel like I've also come to use it more and more consciously, and that now I use a vaporizer. So maybe 4 to 5 times a week in the evening, probably around 5 or 6 p.m. that I vaporize a little bit of this plant.
You
And
inhale. You inhale
I
the
inhale
vapor.
it. It's a vaporizer, and it's like smoking, but there's no smoke, so it's not inflammatory for the lungs. It's really kind of the essence of the plant through vapor that I take in, and and it puts me in a beautiful state. I usually practice yoga when I do this, or I walk in nature, and I feel really good in my body. I feel uplifted. I feel that I can connect, and but at the same time, there is part of me that feels there's a question of, is this serving me? Is this preventing me from accessing something without it? But at the same time, I feel like I've brought a lot of awareness on how I use it, and I've actually decreased it a lot, and now use it in, I would say, a more conscious way. Like I don't just go party. I use it kind of as a practice to connect somehow, which is just in a slightly different way than without it. So just felt like sharing that, and open to hear you and any insights or advice you might have on this.
I mean, I'm not saying it's all false. On a certain level, as it is a mild drug, it's not something that could just get you completely off and stoned out out of your mind. It can help to open up, it can help to become more aware of the connection, but I mean, it's still an imitation. It's not really the real thing. You said then you do that and you feel connected, but it's dependent on the substance, and it's an imitation of what really could be. So in that sense, it can inspire, it can help you open up, but then it keeps you on a certain level. It's in the Indian tradition, many sadhus, they are using it, that they connect. But actually, most of them, they are just fooling themselves. Instead of building up that capacity to really connect, then they take the imitation, and then they feel connected. Having that chillum, Shambho Mahadeva, and feel in ecstasy, but it comes with the smoke and it goes with the smoke. So just be aware, it's not the real thing. And if you can come to a point that you basically can connect without any of this, I think you're better off. I'm not saying it's a bad, terrible thing, but I wouldn't do it regularly and maybe continue in the same direction as you have. You have said you have already reduced a lot.
Yeah.
And eventually you just drop it. You don't need it, because it's always also draining energy, using drugs.
Mm.
When you do your sadhana, then you build up energy, and because of that build up, somehow it's becoming easier to be at ease, to be at peace. It's easier than to open up new experiences, new spaces. Because the energy builds up, and then certain barriers of experience, eventually you just go through them with your energy. When you're using a substance, then you are in a way artificially sometimes breaking to certain barriers that are there, not because of your energy that you have built up, that you manifest, and then you may experience more easily that connection, but it has also the tendency that it is draining your life force instead of building up. Then while you are there in the experience, it feels very great. But then after that, you come down and there you are tired. It's like then you have to make up again and build up the energy again. It's not like when you get that connection through your real build up of energy, then you don't come down. It just it's there, and from there you keep on unfolding. If you use the substance, it pushes you in a high. It helps you to remember that you can connect, but still it's a bit an imitation. It's not quite the real thing. And then you come down, and there is always a bit the sense of being depleted after that. That the energy has again to be built up. So in the long run, it's not that it helps you to make your approach shorter, but actually it's rather creating delay. It's trying to go around the job we have to do, and it doesn't quite work.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting because I also connect deeply without it, and I do my morning meditation regularly, and many evenings I also do my practice without this, and I feel that I can connect, but at the same time I would be dishonest if I would say that what you're talking about, that from the high it's subtle, but I can feel that then the next day or there's maybe a slight depletion of the energy from that.
Right.
And so that, yeah, that is true. Yeah, so no, I think continue to be aware of this and to reduce, and I think it's happening naturally. Yeah, but somehow it is also something that I feel like helps me. Yeah, it's a really pleasant time where my stress kind of drops, and yeah, but yeah. It's yeah.
Right, of course, that for the moment the stress drops, but not because you have resolved the stress problem, but at that time, through the help of the substance, you are able to relax, that it disappears, but then it's waiting there, and when the substance is gone, then the stress also returns in the system.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
We are not resolving it in that way. But it may sometimes help just to be aware, okay, you can be without the tension, you can be without the stressful feeling, but
yeah,
it's not resolving the mechanism that we build up stress again and again.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. But would you say that there might still be a positive use in, if it's really not regularly, but to use these plants that have a particular effect and might help us at some stage to guide us or to point at something, and but then it's the trick is to not get attached to that and
Right.
and know how to let it go when it's not needed.
I mean, I can agree that many people have gotten inspired from their experiences with psychedelics also.
Right.
If after that they had the clarity, okay, it has shown me much more than what I usually perceive is possible, and then they start to work on themselves. if they think I just have every now and then drop a thing and and like that I'm going to unfold, it certainly doesn't work like that. And then especially with stronger stuff, with psychedelics, people who do it all the time find themselves at the end like energetic wrecks instead of expansive beings. There is in India a school, a tradition. They are very much working with that. The Aghoris, they are working with all kinds of substances. But along with that, they are connecting that with a rigorous tapasya, with a rigorous life of just giving up everything, living in the dirt, sleeping on graves, and going around naked, having no possessions, just going through a rigorous training, mental training, physical training, simultaneously with using all that. And then along with that intense self-discipline, they can get very powerful. Still, somehow the temptation for them is then that they get very much sucked into a power trip when they develop powers like this. But then they work with poisons, they work with psychedelics, they work with alcohol. Then a test for them whether they really get somewhere, they keep a cobra and make them bite in their tongue and see whether they can stand it without having a bad effect. If you develop this kind of control over substances, then you can also use substances, but then you don't need them anymore.
Right.
Right. So since you are doing your sadhana anyhow, I'm not saying it's a bad thing, but keep the general direction, especially the regular thing, the regular smoking. And then if once in a while you feel somehow, okay, you need a little bit an encouragement, fine, but take it as an encouragement and come back to work for yourself. In the long run, you are getting much more out of it.
Yeah. Yeah.
If we don't disturb the peace in the body, then more and more your body starts to feel like sometimes you may have felt before when you were on drugs. And that experience, that feeling can continuously increase. But until this starts to happen, we have to somehow a bit get rid of all that old habits that create tensions, that create contradictions, that prevent that natural feeling in the body to develop. And so you cannot bring that natural feeling about by taking drugs. You can get inspiration, but then come back and be aware, okay, now I have to do the homework. Right. And if you can do without it, you're not missing anything.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. This all deeply resonates, and it is encouraging to keep going in this direction. So thank you.
Right. Actually, you have brought the answer already with you when you asked the questions. You know the answer by yourself, but sometimes it's good to hear it also.
It is. It definitely is. It sure is. Yeah.
Okay.
It's just strengthening the intuition and the desire to keep moving forward.
Yes. Yes.
Hari Om.
Hari Om. Hari Om. Wish you well.
Hari Om, everyone.
There is still more time if we want to. Is there anybody else who would like to comment? I'm going on a lot about relaxing, relaxing, relaxing. And I'm wondering why it's not being more talked about, advocated in the spiritual teachings. Because it's in a way the key. But people understand, often misunderstand. When I talk about relaxing, that we become a bit lazy. Relaxing doesn't mean to become lazy. Relaxing doesn't mean that, oh, okay, then let's lie and not do anything. Relaxing simply means relaxing. No matter what way we are approaching, whether it's more as a bhakta, more as a yogi, more as a jnani, more in a new agey way, more in a tai chi way, or other Taoist practices, whether you are a meditator, full-time or active, the problem is always that we're creating tensions. In the mind, we are creating contradictions that creates tensions that prevents us from being aware of that sweetness, of that beauty that is there, the beauty of existence, the gentleness, the sweetness of existence. And somehow then we work and work and work to come closer to that essence. It looks like a tremendous effort we have to do, but it's more that we have to become aware what a tremendous effort we are making all the time to keep our tensions alive, to keep our problems alive, to keep our misery alive. We are spending lots and lots of energy just doing that all the time, out of habit, and then it's there as an automatic function in the subconsciousness, and then it needs some effort to look at it again and again and again and learn not to do that anymore. The effort is not to reach something, the effort is to become aware what tremendous effort we are making to prevent naturalness to be there. Connect with the now, that timelessness, and let go, and relax. Relax, relax. When we feel that we are heavy burdened with mental stuff, with duties, with whatever life brings us, you bring your attention to the present and relax. And it's not that we have to do that again and again and again, a long journey, and then finally we can get the benefit from it. Every time you do it, even to some extent, every time you bring your attention to the now and let go and relax, immediately you feel the relief. Immediately you feel like at least part of the burden disappears. And also when situations become difficult, and like Helen has described, sometimes a new boost of energy is there, and it may be for some time a bit difficult to deal with it. It seems difficult, because then also comes the fear of the newness. But if we relax, suddenly it's no problem, and it becomes beautiful. Relaxing is detaching. Detaching is liberating. Liberating makes us aware we have never been in bondage. As long as we create the idea, the concept of bondage, we have to struggle for liberation. You are free. You are natural. Actually, in that naturalness, the idea of being free or being in bondage doesn't even rise. Of course, as long as we are manifesting on this level, in the human form, in the human world, there are limitations. There are limitations to the physical capacity. But it doesn't make us unfree. It doesn't create a bondage. The bondage is something that we are creating in the mind, and then we have to struggle to liberate ourselves from that bondage. We don't have to get enlightened. We just have to become natural. Come back to being natural. Relax. Be natural. At ease, at peace. Relaxing doesn't mean lazy. Relaxing simply means to not unnecessarily carry burdens with us. Do not unnecessarily hold on to tensions that we have created energetically, physically, emotionally, intellectually. I cannot emphasize it too much. I come back to that again and again. Be aware, connect with the now, and relax, relax, relax. And then, gradually, what I just said to Ben, this starts to happen. Then the naturalness starts to pervade all the levels. Intellectually and mentally, emotionally, you become more natural. Energetically, you become more balanced out. And then even the body starts to change and starts to feel more and more something similar like people can experience when they are slightly drunk without the negative effect of the alcohol. That there is a joyousness even on the physical level if we don't prevent it. And as the time is passing and that naturalness is there and that relaxedness is there, that experience keeps on intensifying, even on the physical level. That's why I can for sure say what I said before to Ben, when we try to bring about that experience with drugs, it's an imitation. It's never justifying the real stuff. And there is always a price to pay. Be alert, be aware, and relax. Be alert, be aware, let go. In one way or another. Using this technique, that technique, or no technique. That which is the most natural, the most spontaneous approach is the good approach. What is right for one is not necessarily right for another, but all of them share that same thing, that no matter what technique we are practicing, no matter what approach we are choosing, It's not something that we have to do with tension and tension and tension and reach something, but it's a question of learning to let go and relax. Practice and relax. Then come out of practice, work and relax. As long as we don't remember, nothing can be done. The moment the memory comes, just connect, center in the present, in the timelessness of the now, and relax. And for me, it is very helpful connecting it with conscious breathing. The bhakta may mainly feel the divine presence and relax. Relax, relax, relax. Then we become aware. The natural beingness has never been tainted. It's there. Has never been in bondage. We need not get liberated. That freedom, that liberation is already there. We just have to learn to recognize it and come back to it. Bring the attention back to that. Until the old habit is neutralized, that we are compulsory always creating that sense of gap, that sense of separation, that makes us feel as if we are losing that. But it cannot be lost. It's always there. It's that which is prior to every experience, at the base of every experience, that which makes every experience possible. All right, I stop talking. Then let's stop this official satsang for today. Hari Om, Hari Om, Hari Om.